Hello, everyone. If you're just joining the live stream, we'll just give it a few minutes to the top of the hour and we'll get started. If you have just joined, you can go ahead and type a question in the chat. Maybe make sure the picture and sound's coming through okay. And we can begin there again at the top of the hour. This meeting starts at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we'll be just waiting for a few more to join and then we'll kick this off. Right. I think we can begin. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Axia TV. My name is Jensen Chapman. I'm the sales director here at Axia by Q Cells. And today is actually our first official live stream. And we're just welcoming viewers and homeowners across the country that are inquiring about solar for their homes. So if you've clicked on our website today, you can go ahead and click on the join now for the live stream, or you'll see our number here on, I think, the bottom of my screen. You can call directly and speak to a solar expert. Either way, this meeting is designed to meet with homeowners when, where, and how they want. So we're glad you're here. Again, my name is Jensen. If you have any questions today, or if you're inquiring about solar, how it works, or other, feel free to drop your question in the chat. I'll be doing a presentation today as I'll set here shortly, but we'll take some time in between, of course, to answer questions in real time. Just glad you're here. And, thank you again for joining our first official live stream here from Axia by Q Cells. So we'll give maybe a few seconds and then I'll kick off what this presentation is all about. I see our first visitor is excited to learn more about Axia and solar. Thanks for being here. All right. I think I'll go ahead and share my screen and let's kick this off. So for starters, we're here today. I'm here today from Axia by Q Cells to show homeowners, answer questions and show homeowners what solar is all about. Really want to go over the basics of solar energy for your home. So if you're in the website or on our website or just joined our live stream, again, my name is Jensen. I'm with Axia by Q Cells. And we're going to talk a little bit today about the basics of solar, how it works, how energy storage works, and talk a little bit about our company story. But this meeting is all about you. So if you're a viewer today, please drop a question in the chat. We are so excited that you're here. And we want this to be a very just open forum to ask questions, learn about how it works. In my experience now working in solar, I've learned that a lot of homeowners are somewhat reluctant to inquire about solar for their homes, either thinking it's too expensive, thinking that it's going to be some high pressure sales pitch. And we want to just rest you all assured that that's not at all the case. In fact, solar is more affordable than ever and now even better than your electric bill, as I'll be talking more about. So thanks for being here. There are a few options if you're joining today to request a quote or maybe even speak to a solar expert. Feel free to go ahead and click on get an estimate, get started, or again, talk with a solar expert. Again, our goal here at Axia by Q Cells is to meet with homeowners when, where, and how they want. So we're ready and we have agents standing by to answer any questions that you have. So just a quick reminder for those that may have just joined in or just clicked on the live stream, you can get a free estimate for your home in seconds. One of our better ways to go solar is to offer not only transparent pricing, but somewhat of a realistic design for your home when it comes to the number of panels you may need, if battery is a good option for you or not. But again, we just want to make sure that this information is open to the public and available to you to find out. And maybe not if it's right for you, at least you can tell someone about your experience today and what you learned and maybe how to inquire better. So we've got a toll-free number on the screen. You can call directly. You can chat with us live over Zoom, or again, request more information and go from there. So let me talk to you a little bit about what we'll be covering today. And you'll notice if you're joining for the duration of this 1 hour call, I'll kind of back up a bit and make sure that we're recapping everything we discussed in case you joined a little later beyond the half or top of the hour, to make sure that you got the same information as everyone else. So we're going to first talk about Axia by Q Cells, who we are, what we do, and what makes us really just better and unique in this space that we're working in. Really exciting time to be involved in solar, whether you're a potential buyer or working in the industry. We're creating more jobs and changing, the way homes are powered and really helping people make a responsible choice when it comes to the energy that we all use and need every day for our homes. So we'll talk about that. I also want to give you a nice overview of the basics of solar energy, so you have a general understanding of how this technology works, how it can benefit you, of course, and what the environmental impact would be for such a responsible choice when it comes to energy. And that really ties in well to the importance of energy. So we're glad you're here. If you're just inquiring about getting solar for your home, you can either call the number here at the bottom of my screen. You can click on get an estimate, get started, or chat with a solar expert. We have agents on standby ready to take your calls and answer any questions you may have. So let me start, and I see our first question in the chat. Thank you, sir. What does Axia mean? Well, Axia is a Greek word for, and really the meaning, as we would know, is value, price, or worth. You see, Axia by Q Cells is a direct selling arm of Q Cells, the manufacturer. And we built this company with pillars around the customer experience. We're fairly new. We relaunched this company on June 1st of this year, 2023. And really our whole mission is to design a best-in-class customer experience and really learning from all the nuances we've had and with over now 20 years of experience in the residential space, dealing with small construction projects, arranging for permits, inspections, installations. So and what does that mean to the customer? Just to level off, we want to take this somewhat complex construction project from the homeowner and make it for the homeowner. And again, this really ties in well to the Axia name. Axia is, again, a direct selling arm from Q Cells. Q Cells, as you may or may not know, is a global manufacturer of solar technology. We do a lot of assembly here in the U.S., creating jobs, which I love to share. And this has mainly been a B2B model. And now we thought, well, why not go directly to consumer? So as we like to say, you can now go directly from factory to rooftop through Axia by Q Cells. And we even have our own financing if you're looking for a zero down or a loan to finance your project. So great question in the chat to start, and it just so happened to be part of the presentation. So a little more about who we are and this Better Way to Go Solar campaign. Again, if you're just joining now, you can go ahead and type in a question in the chat, click on, get an estimate, get started, or chat with a live solar expert that are waiting to take your call. We really designed this platform to, meet homeowners when, where, and how they want. We've learned in this industry that, a lot of times people are just caught up in what we call the solar haze. They don't know what questions to ask, what contractor to choose, what do they feel most confident with, and there's a lot of options out there. So we've thought of everything, in fact, anticipated the needs of our customers that we currently have and delivered in excellence, and now building a global name for ourselves as a direct selling arm for Q Cells. Now, Axia, along with Q Cells, has also our own in-house financing called NFIN. So you may have seen some ads online if you're looking to go solar for zero down. Well, our in-home financing gives our customers the ability to redirect money they're already spending on electricity bills, but now towards their own fixed cost solar investment. And the best part about it, besides cost you nothing out of pocket, the monthly investment in most cases will compete with your electric bill. Maybe a little bit more, maybe about the same, or in a lot of cases, even less. So you can save money from the start, feel good about owning or producing your own clean energy, and being a lot more independent from the energy grid as we know it today. So this is the all-in-one platform, as we say, which is Axia by Q Cells. So thanks again for joining today, and I hope you stick around to learn more about the company story, and as I get into more of the basics of solar energy. Talk a little bit about Q Cells and their commitment to the U.S. economy. Recently, and you may or may not have heard, Q Cells invested more than $2 billion in a U.S. manufacturing plant in the state of Georgia. So looking forward to the new year and beyond, we really want to be the major name in the energy space as a U.S. manufacturer, creating jobs and just electrifying our world with a cleaner future. This is our mission. This is what we're all about here at Q Cells. And now you can go direct through our Axia platform, whether you're looking to purchase outright, maybe take out a loan to finance your project, or an exciting product we're offering now for homeowners that qualify is a prepaid power purchase agreement, which I'll talk more about, which really takes all the hassles, the headaches, and anything out of this investment and gives you an all-in-one system that's warranted by one company, serviced by one company, and no questions asked about who's who and what's what. So more on that. So thanks again for being here. If you're joining now, my name's Jensen Chapman, Sales Director here at Axia by Q Cells. This live stream is designed to just encourage homeowners or anyone really to join our live stream, learn a little more about how solar works, and then get some questions answered as we go. So don't be shy. If you're looking to get an estimate for your home, we have a few options on the screen. You can call the number here on the bottom of my screen and talk to someone direct. You can click on talk to an expert now, and we have live solar experts on standby ready to take your questions or calls. You can click on get started, get an estimate. We even have a unique calculator that can show you, a real-time cost and design in seconds. And then you can proceed further by getting questions answered by meeting one of our live energy consultants or solar advisors. So if you're here now, just go ahead and feel free to click on that. We can collect a little information that won't be shared, and someone will be reaching out to you shortly to schedule a time to meet. The next thing I want to go into today, and if you're just joining, I've talked a little bit about who is Axia by Q Cells. Next, I'll be talking about the basics of solar energy. You'd be surprised how many people, even at this point, don't know a whole lot about how this works. They may have seen it on some of their neighbors' rooftops. They may have seen it over their kids' school, their churches, their parking lots. But how does this really work? And is it worth it for you as a homeowner? That's why we're here today, or I'm here today, to really go over the basics and make sure that you're well informed of what's available to you and how you can make a responsible choice when it comes to energy. So thanks again for joining our live stream. So let me talk first about the basics of solar energy and how this works. For starters, photovoltaic technology, or PV, has been around for now more than 50 years. It's just recently been adopted by homeowners in a lot of the states here in the United States because of the affordability and the fact that pricing has come down so much that now you can go solar for about or less what you're spending already on electricity bills. So it's not as expensive as once was thought of, or once was really. And it's really a simple technology, which I'll go over next. So I'm glad you're here to learn more about the basics. So let's start with just the simple solar panel. I'm sure you've heard the words or seen it. I like to think back when I was in grade school, and I'm sure we can all relate to this. I used to have a calculator I would use, and it had a little tiny solar cell inside it. You remember that? So when light hit the solar cell, your calculator would activate. That's how long this has been around, not to age myself. But this is what essentially photovoltaic means, is we're converting light to electricity. So to start, say, in a calculator, now that technology you can put on your own rooftop and essentially generate electricity from sunlight, which is a much cleaner way to generate electricity because there's no harmful byproducts. So essentially, the way this technology works, these solar panels inside of them have solar cells. These cells are made up of a silicon material. And when photon rays hit the solar cells, the electrons activate. You can think of it as they start doing a happy dance, right? They can't control themselves. They just can't sit still. And this activity by the electrons creates a current called direct current. Now, direct current is not really safe to power our homes. It's a pretty sharp, point of electricity. So that has to be converted to an alternating current in order for it to safely power our homes. Now, that's done through a number of inverter technologies, whether it be a centralized inverter, which is a pretty small piece of hardware installed on the side of your home. That's going to take in all the direct current that the solar panels or the solar cells produce as, DC, and then it's going to convert it to AC so it can safely power your home. There's also technology called microinverters that isolate each individual panel. It's really, there's arguments on both sides which is a better product. But essentially, if there's direct sunlight on your roof and not a whole lot of shade, a central inverter will do the trick. Essentially, again, converting DC to AC and providing clean energy for our homes and businesses. By the way, just a quick check-in for anyone who just joined. I'm Jensen with Axia IQ Cells. Right now, you've joined right in the fact that we're talking about how solar works. If you have any questions that you may have missed or interested to learn more, go ahead and drop your questions in the chat. Or you can talk to a live solar advisor right now. We have people on standby to talk to you live. Or you may just want to sit in and kind of learn and see. But either way, we're glad you're here. So more on that. So we've talked so far about the conversion of direct current to alternating current, the DC to AC. So now let's put this more in perspective on how this would work for your home. Let's imagine you have solar panels installed on your roof and it's a bright sunny day in the month of June. On a day like that, that solar power that you're generating during the day is going to be your first source of electricity for the home. Now, if say it's a cloudy day or at night or during stormy weather, then the utility grid will provide you enough energy, otherwise. Maybe there's shade on your roof at times from a neighboring tree or even a neighbor's house. You would still then pull, required energy your home uses from the grid. So think of it as like a hybrid system. Most, if not all, residential solar electric systems are tied to the utilities grid. So just think of solar as kind of like on the front to produce energy as your first source of energy. But if there isn't enough generated from the solar cells or the solar panels, then you can pull what you need from the grid just the same. Now, in the event, and on a bright sunny day, it's quite likely that you could be producing more electricity from your solar panels than what your home is using in real time. In that case, that extra energy would go back to the grid, and you could get credits for it depending on, some certain programs that are available. I'll talk more about that. Or you can be even more energy independent and store that extra power that your solar panels produce in your own bank or battery storage system. That way you can use that at night or say when, there's not enough sunlight that's covering your electricity, in real time. Now, to level off on expectations, and I see a great question in the chat I'll get to shortly. If on a bright sunny day and it's really hot, you may be running your air conditioning, your pool pump. The solar panels you have installed may not cover 100% of that, most of it, I'm sure, in which case you would just pull the extra from the grid. But if you're conserving energy or just kind of relying on your first source of energy from solar panels, chances are that should cover most of your needs, and then any extra can be stored or sent back to the grid. I got a great question in the chat from Bonnie. Thanks for joining today, Bonnie. How do you assess the amount of solar that you may need in my house? I think that's the best question at the best time right now. We take a look at a few things when it comes to assessing solar for a home. First thing we want to look at is your energy needs. Now, we talk in the solar industry in a language called kilowatt hours. You may or may not be familiar with that on your electric bill, but a kilowatt hour is how electricity is measured and sold to us as, utility customers. And to put that in perspective, imagine 10 100-watt light bulbs burning for an hour. That would equal 1,000 watts or a kilowatt. So that's how we receive energy from the grid in kilowatt hours. So we'll first take a look at your energy needs in kilowatt hours or cost, however you kind of translate that to. Then we're going to look at your roof. How much sun exposure does your roof get? We use some pretty advanced, unique technology or software to determine the hot spots on your roof for solar panels so that we can design a system that's most efficient for your energy needs of today and tomorrow. Then at that point, we can look at how many solar panels would it take to say cover 100% of your energy needs. Maybe you want a little bit less and understand that you can make more, you can conserve energy more or be more energy efficient with upgrading your appliances, light bulbs, windows, and such. But all in all, it would be a custom energy solution. So again, we're looking at your energy needs, the angle your roof has to the sun, taking into account any shade, and then of course how many solar panels it would need. It'll be from there that we can discuss the different financial options to go solar, whether you're interested in purchasing a system outright, financing it for zero down, or even a prepaid power purchase agreement or a solar lease may also be beneficial to you just based on how you want to attack the investment financially. So I hope that answers your question, and I'm so glad that you asked because that's really why we're here today, is those basics and things. How do we assess the amount of solar that a home may need? So thanks again for that great question. I think we've covered enough about the PV and how that works. Now what happens at night? Now, of course, you know, the sun is only out during the day and not quite at night, and there's no such technology yet as lunar panels, but we are converting photon rays from sunlight to electricity. So at night, if say you don't have a battery, well, then you're back on the grid for the most part, you know, receiving power from your local electric company. That doesn't change the way your home is powered. It's just a simple flipping switches, turning on lights, and so forth. If you were to have a home battery installed, well, that would be a great bank for you to have your extra energy stored up. And then when the sun sets and really stops generating electricity for you, you can then rely on your banked power in your energy storage system to cover your nighttime needs. So that's another way that how this works at night. Not a lot of generation, of course, from the roof, but if you have it stored up, you can use that power. Or if you participate in any net metering programs with your utility, you may be able to get credits from that extra power you sold back during the day that can be used against your nighttime energy. I would say there's another question. Thank you, Bonnie. Why would I want to work with Axia instead of someone else? I think we have really figured it out through over 20 years of experience of some of the nuances and the fact that the market, quite frankly, is rather fractured. You see, the solar company is made up of these different sort of companies that come together. There are solar brokers, financiers, contractors. Where we really differentiate ourselves is this is the all-in-one company. We are the manufacturer, we are the seller, and we enlist certified installation partners that are trained and certified to install our unique technology exclusively. We also have our own in-home financing. So really it's all-in-one is our differentiator. So as opposed to going with another solar company who likely will probably be the middleman of some sort, if there's ever a problem up on the roof, you may not know who to call based on who's responsible for what warranty. And you could get passed around with fingers being pointed. So with Axia by Q-Cells, one call does it all. We managed, of course, and made the product, the sales process, the financing, and the installation. So any issues up there, just one number to call. So another great question there. By the way, quick check-in for those of you just joining the live stream. Thanks for being here. My name is Jensen Chapman, Sales Director here at Axia by Q-Cells. We are here to talk about how the basics of solar energy, how it works during the day and at night. But if you're interested in getting a quote from us, we do encourage you to either click on Get Started, get an estimate. You can actually use our online calculator and get pricing in seconds. Somewhat of a preliminary, but mostly accurate design. But we would highly encourage you to schedule an appointment with one of our energy consultants so they can ask more questions about your energy needs and design a system that's custom for you. This is all free of charge. As our mission here at Axia by Q-Cells is to meet homeowners when, where, and how they want, as opposed to some of the traditional ways or methods that you may or may not have had experience with. But we're here to make this comfortable, lively, and fun, and we want to make sure that people are promoting us based on their experience today. So thank you, and for the great comments today. So let's go back where I left off. We're talking about how solar works. Let's go back during the day, right? When you have solar panels installed, that becomes your first source of electricity for the house. Any extra power you may need, you can pull from the grid. Or if you're producing more than you're using, you can send that back to the grid and possibly get credits for it, or store it in your own energy storage system to use at night or in the event of power outages. Now, at night, you're back to the grid or your battery power that's stored up. But either way, I wouldn't call it an offline solution. But having solar and a whole home battery is going to give customers a lot more energy independence, protecting them, if you will, from, say, frequent or infrequent power outages, which I'll talk more about in a minute. And, the feel good fact that you're producing clean energy off the roof as opposed to how we know it today. Now, back to what happens during the day. If you're producing more electricity than you need, and that's all in real time as the first source of energy, if you're storing that extra power in your battery bank, well, you can use that, say, at night or in the afternoons. And this may land with some of you on the call today. You can actually store up extra power, and then in the afternoon when the sun starts to set, I'm talking before nighttime, but some of you may know that our rates for electricity go up between the hours on average of 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Well, if you have our battery installed, you can pull that power out of your battery bank, cover your electrical needs that maybe your solar isn't covering at that point. And I think of it as like a shield from the utility, protecting you from those higher rates. So it's a great aspect of having your own energy storage system, not only independence in the event of a power outage, but protecting you from those higher rates that essentially come in the late afternoons or evenings, which is designed to conserve energy for homeowners because this electricity grid, as we know it today, was not designed to take on the load that we command of it now, right? This was built more than 50 years ago. And think of the evolution we've experienced just in 50 years with technology and our electronics, right? Nobody was plugging in their phones 50 years ago or their iPads or their laptops, right? It was just an electricity grid built to power our neighborhoods, power our communities in a general sense. But now with cars now going electric, how many devices do we all have? It's pretty safe to say that we're becoming more electrified as the future goes on, yet this grid as we know it was not designed to take on the load that we command. So going solar not only helps you do the right thing when it comes to environmental benefits and saving money, which I'll be talking about shortly, but again, it helps everyone out because the less energy you're pulling from the grid and producing on your own, the more better or more available for everyone else that may not own their home or have the ability to invest in solar. So it's a feel-good thing you should know. I got another question in the chat from Cynthia must be in Texas. Hi, Cynthia. Thanks for joining the call today. And your question is, does Axia install in Austin, Texas? Absolutely. Crazy not to, right? With so much sun in the Lone Star State, we are certainly helping that state with all that sun and the fact that electricity prices are on the rise. And what we've learned in our experience is Texans really love independence. It's kind of what I think the state's built on, right? So we get to provide energy solutions that give Texans energy independence. They can have a battery installed to protect them from those crazy outages that we've seen happen in recent years, whether it be in the winter months during the snowpocalypse or during these excessive heat waves that Texans seem pretty familiar with. But now the electric companies are encouraging us to turn down our air conditioning when we need it most. And understandably, as explained earlier, the grid is antiquated. But we have full energy solutions for Texans, from solar panels to solar batteries to really declare more independence. And they can use their energy when they want, how they want, and really feel good about that investment. So thanks for that great question. We're happy to help there in Texas. So let's talk about what happens when the grid goes down. This is where a battery has its true value. Now, whether you're a homeowner or not, I'm sure we've all experienced power outages at some point. My most recent one happened to be interrupting my favorite Netflix show. I was on the cliffhanger of the season finale and boop, the lights went off. Everything was off. And it's like your cable company going out during a football game, right? At the best part. I had no choice in the matter. I'm a renter, so I don't have it. So I was forced to just kind of wait for the power to be restored, and then I had to wait to get up on my show. Kind of just a little anecdotal experience I had, but back to like traditional cases. As mentioned earlier, the grid as we know it is not designed to take on what we command of it today. So there are times in neighborhoods, communities, state by state, throughout our whole country, that the demand for electricity exceeds what the grid can deliver. That can blow transformers, and all of a sudden, without notice, the power goes out. Where your home battery would kick in would be, by the way, instantaneous. You would have energy independence where if the power went out from the grid, you're going to just pull that battery or that energy that you have stored in your battery to keep your refrigerators running, computer, TV, lighting. It'll never interrupt your Netflix show. It's like quick as a blink of an eye. And in some larger cases, we can back up air conditioning systems to keep our customers cool. But that's more why we're encouraging you to either chat with a live solar expert or get an estimate so we can talk to you more about how that works in your town, in your home, and for your needs. So great point to kind of talk about that. Another thing that we've noticed happening, especially in the state of California, is something called public safety power shutoffs. Now, I hate to bring up this subject, but California recently has suffered extreme wildfires. Been a terrible time in the state, especially in recent years. Most would argue that's due to climate change, excessively dry landscapes, and all it takes is one spark to start a fire. So what the electric companies have learned is some of their high voltage power lines that are subjected to falling down due to high winds could be, the cause of some of these devastating wildfires. So now these public safety power shutoffs are in place during high wind or dry seasons that we have coming up ahead in order to protect people from wildfires starting. And a lot of those are going to be planned outages, or at least they do their best. But, to prevent power lines from falling down and creating wildfires, these public safety power shutoffs or PSPS events homeowners can go without power for a number of hours or even days. So if you've got the battery solution or the full energy solution by Axia, well, you're not only going to produce your own energy during the day, but have extra power stored up that can actually, deliver energy for your home in the event of those public safety power shutoffs. Now, that could be prolonged based on the solar panels recharging the battery. I do want to make sure that anyone who may have a little knowledge about solar or doesn't, we never want to over talk about having, solar and a battery to be a complete offline or off-grid solution, but it can get pretty close. Because if you can imagine your power going out for 2, 3, or even 4 days, well, as long as it's during a sunny time of the year or, plenty of sunshine throughout the week, your solar panels can actually charge up your battery as you're using it. But we would still encourage our customers or anyone with a battery to try to conserve power during those times, or to think of it like a canteen of water. Yeah. So if you're ever on a long hike, the last thing you want to do is, over drink your water when you've got to make that stretch for your hike so you don't dehydrate. You got to rationalize that a bit. Now, again, batteries give energy independence, but at the same time, you want to try to conserve energy. And that's really what solar is all about, is conserving energy and being less reliant on the utilities grid. So I hope that makes all sense about how battery storage works, say, during a power outage. Now at night, again, if you're just joining, you can have extra power stored up in your energy bank, as I like to refer, or battery system, and then you can cover your electrical needs at night. And if it's not enough, you can also always pull from the grid as long as there's a live grid that there's energy being delivered. So good stuff there. Now, quick check-in if you just joined. Welcome to Axia TV. My name is Jensen with Axia by Q-Cells. We're here today to provide comprehensive information to homeowners that are inquiring about solar, or if you're not a homeowner, that's okay too. We're glad you're here. You can certainly advocate for us by talking to your friends or family that are considering this. Maybe you're new to it. Maybe you have a lot of experience in it. But either way, our design for these webinars, or these live streams, I should say, is to meet homeowners when, where, and how they want, and make sure that you can see questions being asked and answered, ask some of your own, and learn more about how this works. And we'll be doing these more frequently as we go. So if you're just joining in at the tail end, we're going to wrap up at the end of this hour. But this meeting will be shared on our website. So thanks for visiting already. If you see my mouth moving and not hearing any noise, you can click on join the webcast now or the live stream, and you can join the chat live. But either way, if you're inquiring about solar for your home, we're happy to help. And you've got a few options to do that. You can call the number here in the bottom of my screen. You can click on get an estimate, get started, or even chat with a solar advisor or a solar expert right now, as we have agents standing by. So thanks again for joining. And to kind of recap what we've been talking about today, we first started with who is Axia by Q-Cells. Then we went over the basics of solar energy. And next I want to talk about the importance of solar energy when it comes to environmental impact or climate change. So don't be shy if you have a question or a comment, or hey, if you just want to send some kudos in the chat, I love that. I just want to make sure this is a great experience for you, the viewer. I want to make sure you can see and hear me okay, and really enjoyed this live stream. So I see a question popped in. Thank you for this. What is PPA? Yeah, great question. PPA is an acronym for Power Purchase Agreement. So think of it this way. Right now, you are really on a power purchase agreement already with your electric company. They are the power provider. They are delivering that power to you, and you're paying for it in the measure or unit of kilowatt hour. And as we know, rates go up, right, every year. So you really have no control of the situation. As I used to tell my kids, you just get what you get and you don't throw a fit. So what we offer is an alternative to that. It's a power purchase agreement where you partner with Axia by Q-Cells. We'll install all the equipment that your home may need when it comes to your energy needs. Maybe you want a little more peace of mind that you have a reliable source of energy as backup. We can add a battery to the system. And essentially, we're going to be your power provider. And that energy is going to be produced from sunlight, which is a lot cleaner than the energy that we receive today from the grid. So that's a great question to ask. I hope that answered that well. A PPA stands for Power Purchase Agreement. There's a few different ways to go about that, which I would encourage you to get an estimate or get started. Click on that button so you can talk with one of our live solar experts, and they can go more into detail on how that may work for you, or maybe the best financial product. So thanks for that question. Let's talk about the cost. Yeah, I think if anything, most people want to be green these days as long as they can save green, right? The beauty of solar energy is that you can do both. You can be green and save green, because essentially what none of us have control over is the rising cost of electricity. For anyone on this call today, maybe you've been in your home for 10 years. So I'll ask you somewhat of a rhetorical question, because we're not that. What was your energy bill 10 years ago per month? And what does it look like today? Chances are it's probably more, even if your home isn't using more energy, because we've seen the cost of electricity go up significantly. In fact, in the Golden State of California, utility rates on average have gone up by 60% just over the last 5 years. That's crazy. Imagine what that looks like in another 5 years or 10 years or even 20 years, right? Where a $200 a month electric bill today could be as much as $400, $500, $600 in the near 10, 15, 20-year future, because of how electric companies work. And the more demand, the more investment they've got to make in rebuilding our electrical grid. So essentially, one of the important things about considering solar for your home, and really the number one reason when people are asked, why are you considering doing this? I want to save money. I don't like having to pay an unapproachable or unpredictable, I should say, electric bill, and understanding that the rates go up just like everything, right? Look at what we're paying for a gallon of gasoline today versus just 10 or 20 years ago. Very similar to what's happening with our electricity as we know it. So one of the main reasons, or one of the number one important things to homeowners is, hedging against the future cost of electricity. Whether you're locking in your rates today through a solar loan or a power purchase agreement, or if you want to, go all in and purchase the system outright, you can actually calculate how much money you're going to save each year or the return on such an investment. And more on that when I get in the products towards the end of the hour. Also, a quick reminder, this month of September is National Preparedness Month. Yeah, I think we all need to be more aware in these trying times that there could be power outages, there could be natural disasters. We've seen hurricanes come through California recently, or tropical storms that were out of the norm. In which cases, how prepared are you? Do you have plenty of bottled water to, keep your family hydrated? Do you have canned foods? Do you have flashlights ready? Do you have batteries? This is more important as time goes on, as the infrastructure, as we know, is rather unstable, or certainly not as stable as it once was. So just a quick reminder that you can prepare pretty easily with your own supply of water, canned food, and otherwise, because you can't count on your refrigerator working. You can't really count on going to the gas station to fill up your tank to get out of town. They're without electricity too. So it's important to be prepared, and September is raising awareness for such a thing. Now, this ties in wonderfully to what we do here when it comes to energy at Axia by Q Cells. We're offering homeowners a full energy solution that essentially not only prepares them for such situations, but produces clean energy and gives them more energy independence as opposed to we know it today. So more on that as we go. Now let's talk about the environmental benefits. And by the way, if you just joined or sitting in, go ahead and drop a question in the chat. Let me know you're here. That's what this meeting is all about. So thanks for being here. All right, I want to first kind of just keep it simple and help people that are viewing today understand how and where our electricity is being generated. It's been amazing to me in my now 12 years working in solar. When I ask people, they don't have to be homeowners, hey, where does your electricity come from? Majority of the people don't really know or understand. I think the common answer I get is, I don't know, the power lines, right? The electric company. All true. But where is that generated and how is that generated? You see, electricity is a secondary energy source. That means that in traditional cases, we have to burn coal, oil, and natural gas to produce electricity, which happens to emit CO2, pollutes our land, air, and water. In fact, the generation of electricity in our country happens to be one of the leading causes of land, air, and water pollution. Now, why solar power is a clean technology is essentially photovoltaic technology converts sunlight to usable electricity without any harmful byproducts. So there is no CO2 emission. This can help lessen our carbon footprint when we become more energy independent and more responsible. And now, because of the affordability of it, now it just makes fiscal sense just the same. So you can actually be green and help the planet, and be green and help your checking account with more money, saved each month or each year. In fact, a lot of homeowners that are investing or already have in solar and energy storage are, offsetting millions, if not billions of pounds of CO2. That's like the equivalent of not burning 1,945 barrels of oil for just one home going solar, or the equivalent of planting 789 acres of mature trees in a forest. That's changing the future. And that's what we're all about here, is really providing a cleaner, brighter future for the generations to follow. That's why I'm in the solar industry. It's not just to help people that could use help with their electric bill, but it's to make a brighter and cleaner tomorrow. So glad to share that. Always proud, and I always get the goosebumps a little bit when I talk about this sort of thing. So hope you're interested in the environmental benefits the same. Okay, quick check-in. Welcome if you've just joined the live stream. My name is Jensen Chapman with Axia by Q Cells. We're here today as a free forum to invite people in to ask questions, watch questions being asked and answered, learn more about the basics of solar. So if you're a homeowner and you're inquiring about solar for your own home, we have a few options to keep it simple for you. You can call the phone number at the bottom of my screen. You can click on Get an Estimate, Get Started, or even chat with a live solar expert that's on standby to take your call. Either way, this live stream is designed to meet with homeowners when, where, and how they want. We want to avoid the high pressure sales experience. We want people to feel good about working with Axia because this company was built around the customer experience. And we have over 2 decades of experience learning what's important to customers, learning what happens in small construction projects like this. So I'm really glad you're here. If you want to just participate in the chat, go ahead and drop me a line. I'll be happy to answer that as we go. And we'll be doing more of these live streams as time goes on, because our job is to really inform or educate people of what's available to them, maybe inspire some people to care. Yeah. And then we can talk about the qualification process or how to assess solar for your home. So if you're interested in getting into the live chat, I just saw a question. There should be a button on our website to join the live stream. Or perhaps if not, leave me another chat and we can have one of our internal agents see if they can help troubleshoot for you. But thanks for asking that. Okay, all right. Let's go on to we'll go back a few slides for those that just joined us or maybe joined in halfway through. Talked about a few things today, and we'll kind of start here. Who is Axia by Q-Cells, the basics of solar energy, and of course the importance of solar energy. So if you just joined the live stream, thanks for being here. My name's Jensen. Want to talk to you a little bit about who Axia is by Q-Cells, then we'll go through the basics of solar again, and then I want to talk to the viewers today about the importance of solar. Now, don't be shy. If you're here to just get a quote or an estimate, you have a few options to do that. That's sprinkled throughout the website. So feel free to do that or talk to somebody live or just sit in and see how we roll or engage with people that have joined our live stream today. The word Axia. This is the Greek word for value or worth. This was a collective vote in our company just about a year ago. And we thought, this should be a company that's designed around the customer experience. What do customers value? What is the worth to them? That's why we've named Axia by Q-Cells. Now, Axia is actually a direct selling arm of Q-Cells, the manufacturer, which, by the way, happens to be the #1 solar manufacturer and is leading the company or the country in market share. In fact, now with market share over 35%, if you've seen solar panels installed in your own neighborhood, chances are 1 out of every 3 solar homes have Q-Cells technology on the roof. And you'll notice that it's an all black, sleek looking panel generating electricity from the sun. So we're glad you're here, and we'd be happy to show you our direct solution. I had a question earlier I'd like to kind of bring up again is why Axia by Q-Cells? Again, this company was built on the pillars of customer experience and understanding some of the nuances when it comes to a small construction project like solar. You see, the industry is rather fractured. There's a lot of companies out there that are kind of putting together systems. They may be the financer, they may be the contractor, they may be an advertiser, all together, trying to get their piece of the solar industry as it grows immensely. And but essentially, as a homeowner, you may not know this, that at the end of the day, you're actually dealing with 3 or 4 different companies, even though you had maybe one point of contact to start. So why Axia? Well, as a manufacturer first and now a direct selling arm, we've figured out how to be all in one. So as opposed to separate companies that are maybe buying their panels from one manufacturer, the inverters from another, the financing from another company, we've brought it all in home, where it's all just one system under one warranty. And if there's ever an issue on the roof, as opposed to getting passed around of who's responsible for this or that, you have one number to call. From the panels themselves, the battery, the sale, the salesperson you met with, and even our own certified installation partners, and in-home financing, this is really drives home the power of one for our company. So that's really what really stands out or differentiates us here in the industry. Now, Q-Cells have recently made headlines. In fact, our own president and vice president have visited our plant there in Georgia, where we invested over $2 billion recently in U.S. manufacturing. This is to build the nation's only and complete sustainable solar supply chain. Currently, everything's assembled here in the United States. But what I love about this investment by Q-Cells, not just in a cleaner tomorrow and a brighter future, but we're creating jobs. More jobs than the coal and oil industry combined. And not just us here at Q-Cells, but the solar industry as a whole. So whether you're a believer in climate change or even a naysayer, one thing that no one can argue about the solar industry is job creation, which helps our economy. And that's a big thing that we like to bring up to homeowners or anyone that's looking at what's happening in the energy industry. Americans, quite frankly, have been a little behind for the rest of the world when it comes to investing in renewables. So we're so proud to be a part of this. and creating really an all-in-one solution through a U.S. solar supply chain. By the way, if you've just joined, a few ways that you can get an estimate today. Thanks, by the way, for being here. You can actually click on Get Started, get an estimate, or even chat now with a live solar advisor. We have agents on standby. But either way, the point of this webinar is to meet homeowners when, where, and how they want. So I'm so glad you're here. If you have a question or anything that referring to solar or energy storage, go ahead and drop it in the chat or follow the instructions that are pretty simple on the screen. And you can learn more as we sit in. I will be wrapping up at the top of the hour, or I guess at the bottom of the hour, depending on what time zone you're in. I'm in the Pacific Standard Time, so we'll be wrapping up in about 15 more minutes. Next, I want to talk about the basics of solar energy. Now, if you've sat on this webinar or you've heard this before, if you just joined, I think this will be important and informative for you to learn and to see more on how this works. So let me take a quick drink, as this has been going on a while, and then talk to you about the basics of solar. All right. Thanks again for all those that are viewing today and putting in your questions in the chat. Appreciate you. All right, so let me keep this simple. The basics of solar energy. Photovoltaic technology has been around for more than 50 years. In fact, I was thinking back when I was in grade school, I used to have a calculator. I think we all did at some point. That had a little tiny solar cell in it. Remember that? And whenever the lights would come on in the classroom, your calculator would be activated. If you put your hand over it, no calculations can be done. That's the same technology we're using today. Photovoltaic, converting photo, light, to voltaic, electric. And solar panels are a clean technology because as opposed to, having to burn coal, oil, or natural gas that emits CO2, there's no harmful byproducts when you're converting photon rays from sunlight to usable electricity. Now I want to get real granular with you. So essentially, solar panels are made up of solar cells. Think of it as a very thin material made up of silicon. And when photon rays hit the silicon, the electrons start to activate. And they start doing what we call like a happy dance. Think of it like a vibration. Now, this is a current called DC, or direct current. But direct current is not safe to power your home. It's too unstable. So it has to be converted to alternating current in order for it to safely power your home. So by day, solar cells produce direct current, and then that gets converted to alternating current through a technology called inverter systems. Now, there's a couple options when it comes to inverters. The traditional way is a centralized inverter, which is a small piece of hardware installed on the side of your home, and its job is to take in the direct current that the solar cells produce and then convert that to alternating current to safely power your home. There's also a product called micro inverters that individualize each individual panel. This could eliminate the hardware, but it is arguably about the same as a central inverter, depending on the sunlight your roof gets, any shady conditions. There's benefits to both products. And if you want to learn more, I encourage you to either put a question in the chat or, most importantly, get an estimate. Start now or call our toll-free number and schedule an appointment to learn exactly how this works and get your custom questions answered. So let's imagine a bright sunny day in June. You're producing all this electricity from your solar panels, which, by the way, become your number one source of energy during the day. Now, if you're ever producing more than what you're using, well, that's okay. That extra power can either go back to the grid, and you may even get credits for it, depending on your electric company's program called net energy metering. More on that. Or you can have your own battery installed and have that energy stored up in your energy bank that you can pull from, say, at night or during cloudy days or during grid outages. Now, rest assured, your light bulbs burn the same, even with solar power as your first source of energy. No difference there. Just think of it as your first source of energy, where if the solar or the sun isn't out long enough or on a cloudy day, you can always be pulling energy from the grid automatically to cover your electricity needs in real time. But as I'm sure you can imagine, solar power means conservation. Solar power means independence. Why would you buy electricity rates or electricity from an electric company selling you at an escalating rate when you can generate your own power that's cheaper, cleaner, and more efficient than how electricity is delivered to you today? And that is all part of a solar electric system, converting sunlight to electricity, first starting as DC and then converting to AC or alternating current to safely power your home. But all in all, you have more energy independence to produce your own energy by the day, store it up in your battery at night, perhaps sell it back to your electric company and get credits for it against your nighttime use. But that's the simple concept of how this technology works. So, what happens at night? The sun isn't out. What do? Rest assured, you'll be receiving utility power just the same. Or if you have your own battery installed, you could potentially be using that stored up power to cover your nighttime use, right? I know another thing that a lot of the electric companies are doing, especially in California right now and Texas, is they're increasing their rates in the late afternoon or evenings. Now, some would say that's not fair, right? That's when people come home from work. They turn on their lights. They want to watch TV, feed their families, do laundry. Well, to promote conservation, the electric companies have to raise the rates during those times because the grid is not stable. That's when we're pulling the most electricity off the grid. So your solar panels may not be working at night, but you can also be storing that extra power, say for nighttime use, and then use that to cover or in a way shield you from those rates. And that would certainly apply in the afternoon or evening, depending on time of year, when the rates are higher, that the less energy you buy from them, the more money you save. So I hope that makes sense as far as the basics go of how solar works at night. Now, if you have an energy storage system installed, you're pretty much, I wouldn't say off the grid or offline, but you're set up for more energy independence than, say, those without a battery. And here's a frequently asked question I haven't seen yet in the chat. Let's imagine I had solar on my roof on a bright sunny day. If the power goes out, I should be fine, right? Well, not necessarily. And the reason for that is all solar electric systems are tied to the utilities grid. Now, maybe I should be careful. I'm sure there's some complete offline solutions out there. But what we work with is direct connects with the utility grid, or as we say, grid tied systems. So in the event of a power outage, if you only have solar panels installed, your home's going to be without power just the same. And the reason for that is we can't have you sending any live power back to the grid because there could be linesmen out there working. They could get electrocuted. That's dangerous. So in the event of power outages, the system shuts down automatically. And then once the power is restored, without you touching a thing, the system is activated again by sunlight and you're back to producing clean energy from the roof. Now, if you have a battery or an energy storage system, now you're going to be able to game the system, as I like to say. Because in the event of a power outage, not only do you have stored up power to cover your electrical needs, this will keep your refrigerator running, your computers, TV, lighting, and won't even interrupt your favorite Netflix show. I've had that experience before, where you'll be more independent or more insulated, if you will, from power outages. But in the afternoons or evenings, depending on when the sun sets, that's when those higher rates come in. Now you can use some of your stored up power to cover those rates or shield you from those higher rates that inevitably come in the late afternoon or evening hours. So that's how solar and storage works. We talked about during the day, we talked about what happens at night, and we've talked about what happens during a power outage. So that's pretty well covered. Quick check-in, if you've just joined the live stream, thank you for being here. My name is Jensen Chapman with Axia of IQ Cells. This meeting is designed to welcome people in because we want to meet with homeowners when, where, and how they want. So if you're just joining now, we encourage you to drop a question in the chat you may have if you're inquiring about solar for your home. You've got a few options to get a quote today. You can click on Get Started. You can talk with a live solar expert, or even get an estimate using our online calculator that can give you real-time pricing in seconds, and then schedule an appointment with one of our energy consultants so they can customize the system a little more and make sure all of your questions are answered. Because I will share this, and I'll be wrapping up this meeting today with these points. There's 3 reasons why more people aren't doing this. Either they, number 1, don't know what's available to them. Number 2, don't care. Yeah. Or they don't qualify. So if you're here today to inquire, you're going to be informed. If you're here today inquiring, I hope you care, because we have to make a responsible choice for the preservation of future generations. And qualifications are, you need to be a homeowner, You need to have a good roof for a solar installation, or even considered property for a ground mount. And if you're looking to finance, decent credit score. But all in all, that should be the last thing you worry about. We just want to make sure you're informed, you're inspired, and then we can move to the qualification process. And you can do that simply and free of charge by clicking on Get an Estimate or Get Started to meet with one of our energy consultants or talk with a live solar advisor that can patch you in. So don't be shy if you're here now just joining. Drop a question in the chat. Let me know you're here. I'm just glad you are, so you can learn more about how this works. Next, I'm going to talk about the importance of solar energy. I'll wrap up in about 4 minutes. So if any last questions, go ahead and drop in, and I'll be happy to answer before I go. For starters, I've asked thousands of people in my years of working in solar, what is most important to you about considering solar? And one of the first answers I get is, I want to save money. I don't like my electric bill. I have no control in the matter. It seems to go up every year. And the facts are, yes, they certainly go up every year, just like everything, right? Look at what we're paying per gallon of gasoline right now. Very similar to our electric bill, say just 10 or 15 years ago. In fact, in the state of California, the rates have gone up by 60% just over the last 5 years. And the state of Texas, now with one of their largest rate hikes in recent history, have gone up by now 29% over 5 years. So really the importance of solar energy is to save money from the electric company, right? Hedging against the future cost of electricity. And we've got a few ways to do that financially. Also, a quick reminder that September is National Preparedness Month. Yeah, we all need to be well prepared or more prepared for, the future. We've experienced power outages, natural disasters from, hurricanes, earthquakes, and so forth. I know it's not a pretty subject, but being prepared is critical. Please make sure you and your family have enough water for a few days without power, flashlights, batteries, canned food, things like that. And, the solar industry is a big advocate for this because that's what we're doing. We're providing homeowners, resilience against power outages and disasters that way by being more energy independent and so forth. I have a question in the chat. I hope somebody on the call can answer that's in my team. Can someone post a link to how to talk to a solar advisor? That should be at the bottom of your screen, I think to the right. Could be reversed there. It says chat with a live solar expert, and then you'll be in touch with one of our solar advisors. All right, let's talk about environmental benefits. The world could be a much cleaner place if we all picked up one piece of trash every day. Energy is created as a secondary, or electricity is created as a secondary energy source. We have to burn coal, oil, and natural gas to produce it. That emits CO2 into our atmosphere, which happens to be one of the leading causes of land, air, and water pollution. So why is solar energy a clean technology? Well, essentially converting sunlight to usable electricity has no harmful byproducts, so it creates a cleaner way of electricity generation. And what I share on the screen here is just an example of one homeowner's decision to invest in solar. This one homeowner measured over the lifespan of about 35 years of solar generation. That's like the equivalent of offsetting 1,869 or planting 1,869 trees, or not burning 1,945 barrels of oil, or the equivalent of 789 forest acres. These are the environmental impacts. This is what we mean when it comes to being more responsible when it comes to your energy. Now, I'll just do a last call in if you're interested to learn more information, if solar is right for you. Obviously, you're here on our website and hopefully join this live stream live or watching it in record. But you can call our number, you can click Get Started, get an estimate, or even chat now with one of our solar advisors, and they can help guide you to the right person and make sure you have a great experience learning about more and more about what you do. So that will conclude today's webcast. I want to thank you all for those that may have joined from the beginning to the end. Thanks for riding this out with me and hearing me repeat myself a few times. Or if you just joined at the end, that's okay. There'll be more to come. We're just glad you're here. And the only thing we ask is that you give us some feedback on how this meeting went for you. If you're inquiring, just talk to us. We'll meet you when, where, and how you want. And we want to make sure this is a no pressure, just comprehensive consultation that you deserve. As you can measure the cost of going solar today, you just cannot measure the cost of doing nothing. So look for me next time. I'm Jensen.